Halley's Comet swarms with exotic dust particles and complex molecules of sodium, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen, which have existed since the dawn of time. Perhaps as scientists explore the swirling mass of Halley's Comet, we will discover clues to our own existence. Or maybe some hot, nude, bat-like vampire space girls. Lifeforce came out in 1985, and I was just a little young to catch it in its theatrical debut. At the behest of a friend in high school, he showed it to me a few years later on videocassette, and I have to say, I had heard some bad things about the film. The word on the street was it was a mess, it didn't make any sense, it had gratuitous violence and sex, and that the production itself was a shit show. Sounds like my kind of movie, and it was. At first glance, the film for myself as a teen viewer, I loved all the gratuitous stuff, of course, but the movie never left my consciousness. It kind of cast a spell, and one that I never could put my finger on. Every time it was on cable or TV, I would watch it, even if it was censored.
I'm here. Now can this madness end?
Come. Be with me.
Why did I like this so-called terrible movie? I had to get a little older to appreciate what director Tobe Hooper was doing here. Lifeforce kept a hold of me through the years, and as my appreciation for cinema grew, so did my fondness for Lifeforce.
She wants me to hurt her. I can see the images in her mind. Do you want to stay? Otherwise, wait outside!
Not at all. I am a natural voyeur.
Lifeforce was a title used for the film, when in fact it is based on the novel The Space Vampires by Colin Wilson. This is one of Wilson's later books in his career, and the story consists of alien creatures that are brought back to Earth, but instead of consuming blood from its more vampiric earthbound cousins, they take your life force, or your energy if you will. At first they appear as humanoid, bat-like creatures. They soon turn to a more squid-like creature that are energy beings from another dimension. The film, like the novel, mostly stays within those boundaries, including its titular character of Captain Carlson, who first discovers the creatures while on a space mission.
I was in love on a level you've never known, Kane.
Wilson's aliens in the novel are more Lovecraftian in nature than they are in the film version. They exist to not just suck the life from people, but to evolve to a higher form, whether that be for good or evil. The film adaptation by Dan O'Bannon and Don Jacoby takes the novel's premise and cleverly uses the 1986 appearance of Halley's Comet as a plot device to give reason to our astronauts' journey. Inside the tail of the comet, they find a very phallic spaceship containing what appears to be both humanoids and bat-like creatures. Early on, we see the Lovecraftian connection between humans' desire to experience new life forms, mixed with the more traditional vampire lore that was made famous by Christopher Lee's Hammer films from the 1950s through the 1970s.
Girl? You mean human?
Definitely humanoid.
I'd say she's perfect. I've been in space for 6 months, and she looks perfect to me.
You could even include some of Hammer's spin-off vampire movies, especially the Karnstein trilogy, beginning with The Vampire Lovers, where female-dominated vampire cults lured men in with their good looks and ample cleavage. As the vampires are brought back to Earth in modern-day London by Captain Carlson, played here by American Steve Railsback, we began to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist director Tobe Hooper's desire to marry this concept with some of his favorite Hammer films, most notably the Quatermass series of films.
3 men went into outer space. Only one of them came back a strange, distorted creature, haunted and possessed by something beyond human understanding. What was the terrible secret he could not tell them?
Beginning with the original Quatermass experiment, and there is no denying the influence of the third film here, Quatermass in the Pit, as space vampires wreak havoc on downtown London. The main problem with the film for me is in fact its script. It wants to be the novel, but at the same time it wants to be its own thing too. As mentioned before, and I even found a quote by Hooper himself who said, "I wanted to go back to my roots and make a 70mm Hammer movie."
It's the most complex thing I've ever done, and it has something major happening in terms of grand spectacle about every 60 seconds.
The Hammer influence is all there. The seduction of the characters through mind control and seduction. The issue seems to be Hooper's inability to decide between that more salacious Hammer take versus the book's more Lovecraftian take. Those two takes make for somewhat sloppy bedfellows at times. This film is quite rich in ideas, and the special effects to back them up are really still quite effective today. The space effects are handled by Oscar-winning visual effects maestro John Dykstra from Star Wars and Star Trek fame.
I hope you can appreciate the scale of this on the video.
Roger, we're getting it. It's all on tape.
The animatronic makeup effects of Nick Malley are beautifully yet horrifically rendered.
Be building a suit that goes on somebody, or just building a false nose that goes on. Really, to be a prosthetic, it needs to fit onto a person.
Both of the artists' respect to detail is very key to the film working as well as it does, and presents its characters with some of its finest set pieces that make the film the cult classic that it has become today. Henry Mancini delivers quite a bombastic score to start things off. But once things calm down, he composes a lush, almost lyrical score that would be one of his best as he would retire soon in 1993. There is also a major issue with our protagonist in this film. At first, we are led to think that Railsback's Carlson is the lead. However, Hooper pulls him out of the film for huge chunks of time, and now we're following the trench coat wearing Brit Peter Firth as Colonel Kane, who assumes the role of our swashbuckling hero.
It'll be much less terrifying if you just come to me.
I'll do just that.
The push and pull between the two can be frustrating on the viewer, especially when you're trying to pull for someone to make it out of this huge space catastrophe we're in the middle of.
The energy doesn't go free. It goes up there.
In the end, and somewhat like in the novel, Carlson discovers that he cannot resist the temptations of the female leader and decides to join with her so that maybe he can transcend the evil from within. This leaves us with Firth's Colonel Kane as our hero, and we have to root for both, and both are just underdeveloped, unfortunately. One simply cannot conclude an essay on Lifeforce without mentioning the stunning performance by the then 18-year-old Mathilda May as the lead vampire, or Space Girl, as she is called. She is fully nude for mostly every scene in the film, and uses her obscene maturity to not only seduce every male character in the film, but all viewers as well.
There's a girl on the loose in the building. She must not leave.
Pardon me, but I thought you said she was naked.
That's right, that's what I said. Surely you can find her.
Must be some kind of joke.
She captivates in every scene she's in, and although stunning to behold, she carries the ultimate evil within her. She best represents the male's desire for beauty, regardless of its consequences. Even in the end, Carlson realizes he must succumb to it. This notion is a fascinating one because the space race in the 1960s was one that many held a must-win situation for Earth dominance. But like in the evolving Quatermass series, what if we brought something back with us? Something we don't comprehend in the form of an alien or a virus, or worse yet, a planet-ending plague. These are not just American or British or Russian concerns, but humanity concerns. And this film pumps that fear to its exploitative best in Lifeforce. It's the old be careful what you wish for, and Carlson's character can't resist the virus that he went looking for.
Carlson. Carlson.
It has become him, and as a result, will in fact become us, all of us. Galactic evolution, if you will. Others in the cast include the first time I had seen the great Patrick Stewart in anything, a role he took over for Sir John Gielgud. He gives a great performance here, playing a space vampire in human disguise as we discover that they can inhabit those we know and trust.
Our bodies are unimportant. As you and your men have approached in your ship, we changed them for you.
This is also interesting, in that had this film been made today, the space alien's ability to transfer itself in between male and female bodies unlocks a lot of interesting story possibilities.
I am the feminine in your mind, Carson.
Lifeforce is widely available in all sorts of media. Shout has a beautiful new 4K Blu-ray, and you can stream it as well. There are two cuts, the theatrical cut and the director's cut, which I have grown a bit more fond of recently. It adds about 15 minutes, but it's great stuff, and it fleshes out a few of the rough ends. I am an unapologetically massive fan of this film, even with its flaws. I had not seen a Quatermass or Hammer Dracula film before I saw this. Having added those film series to my overall film palette, it makes Lifeforce even more delectable in its grotesque symmetry. Canon producers Golan and Globus let Tobe Hooper do his thing after Poltergeist, and gave him every resource he needed. He took full advantage here, and thank the gods he did, because as they say, they don't make them like this anymore.